was thinking today of talking about ayahuasca because I have my second ayahuasca retreat coming up in early August. I wanted to share how to prepare for it, what's the setting going to be like, what might your experience, and what will the after effects be. My first ayahuasca retreat was in January of 2023 and it changed my life. It was the catalyst to a great expansion in consciousness for me and definitely launched me on a spiritual path. In 2022, of late October, I was unexpectedly laid off, and I had been in the process of making a career change from technical writing to being a mental health counselor. So I had always had a curiosity about ayahuasca. I had put a pin in it many years ago. I thought that would be interesting. That's something that I would like to do. And it was as if that pin came out and my subconscious was like, here you go. Remember this? Now's the time. It just came to the forefront of my attention. And it was this sudden knowing it's appropriate for me to go. And it's this yearning you have. It's deeper than a curiosity, it's a pull. What is ayahuasca? It's from the Quechua word ayahuasca, means vine of the soul. And ayahuasca is from two different plants. It's a combination of the Banisteriopsis caapi vine and also the Psychotria viridis plant. So there's a vine that helps to alter how the body processes the Psychotria viridis leaves, which contain the compounds of DMT. So ayahuasca is essentially an extended DMT trip, this caapi vine. It allows the body to process the alkaloid compounds slowly. So it extends it to about 12 hours. It makes it a much longer trip that you are working with your compound, the brew that has the Banisteriopsis caapi and the Psychotria viridis leaves. The shaman, based on their lineage, will also add other botanicals to create their own unique brew. So whatever you are, you'll at least have those two things, but there may be other things mixed in, other plants to create slightly different experiences. If you go to Peru versus Colombia versus Ecuador or Costa Rica, you could have a very different experience. You go to take ayahuasca, it's a dark brown liquid. It looks almost like black or maybe like dark purple, I could even say. And it's served in a little glass and you drink it. It's bitter, a little bit sweet. It doesn't taste very good. Some people have more tolerance to the taste than others. I thought it was okay. Like I didn't find it was too gross, but one of the retreat leaders said like he almost like throws up whenever just the taste of it, like he really didn't like it. It's completely variable. You have what they call a dieta to help you prepare. And the dieta is, you could call it a diet, but it goes even beyond what you eat. In the dieta, you eliminate, depending on the shaman you work with, they may have different suggestions, and some may be more strict, some may be a little bit more flexible, and then it also depends on the timing. So, and then depending on the specific dieta that you get, once you're at 2 weeks or even a week before and a week after, there may be other restrictions in place. So at first, it's mostly about food, not eating certain meats that contain tyramine, tryptophan, no turkey, no pork, and no sugars, no junk food, trying to avoid processed foods. And then as you get closer to the time, no fried foods, no red wine, no caffeine, no other recreational drugs, no cannabis, no alcohol at all. And if you have certain medications like SSRIs, then you'll have to stop taking those because those can have a dangerous side effect when you're working with ayahuasca. Then it can even be suggested that you abstain from sex, both solo or with a partner, for about a week before and then sometime after. So most dietas will recommend the last 2 weeks or the last week that you don't eat any meat at all. And there's also no cheeses, no dairy products, and no soy products. So it is a hefty list of things that you cannot eat. One shaman told me what you put into the process of preparation is what you will get out of the experience with ayahuasca. If you treat your body with reverence and you treat your preparation with respect, then you're honoring the process and you're honoring that it is a process. It's a pilgrimage, right? If you were going for a pilgrimage, you wouldn't just start walking. You'd have to plan it out. You'd have to know what you need and how to take care of your body to support the effort of all the long journey and the walking. In the same way, you're preparing your body and your energy to be in its best condition for supporting a vast spiritual expansion and sometimes physical too. Some people have had healing experiences from ayahuasca. So, part of the dieta is to prepare you for the process. You're already beginning to shift your mental state into I'm serious about this and I'm giving special attention to my body, what I put into it, the thoughts that I think, any kind of noticing any addictions too. Like it's not easy to stop eating sugar or to stop having a glass of wine if you're used to having it, or to having cannabis or THC if that's something you're used to. So you begin to understand and recognize where you may rely on things, where you may have an attachment to make you feel better, to help support you if you're bored. Whatever your reasons are, it helps you to cleanse the body, to cleanse the mind, to have more awareness of what you need in your life to feel good. And also, then the reasons that you have the dieta are biological. There's certain interactions with the plant. It's really common that you purge, right? That you throw up. And some substances you're going to have an easier time purging. And some things, if you're eating meat or processed foods, you might have a rougher time. So it's multiple reasons for having the dieta. And I was strict with it. I wanted to have the reverence. I adhered to it to the T, both before and after. And other people did not. There were some people in my retreat who didn't see the dieta. They didn't read through the email. They didn't even know. And they didn't have any problems physically. It wasn't like it was more challenging or harder on their body. And they still did have a really beautiful experience. I can't know because I'm not that person, and they can't know either because they made the choices they did. Maybe they would have had even more healing. Maybe they would have had a different time. But I'm just saying this to be devil's advocate to let you know that it's possible that you may have some ability with the dieta based on your body and your needs. So this time, do my best to adhere, but I'm going to do a little bit more working with my intuition and speaking directly to the spirit of ayahuasca to ask what's best for me. And if I hear follow the diet to the T, I will do that. If I hear some days it's okay to eat salmon, like maybe my body needs protein, then I'll follow through with that. But I think it's certainly worth trying, I would say, the dieta because you know the saying like you don't know what you miss until it's gone. The same thing is true for our patterns and our addictions. Sometimes we're not even aware that we are addicted to something until we try to take it away. Take space from your phone for a day, right? You lose your phone and then you start to notice, oh my gosh, I can't listen to music, I can't call, I can't text, I can't just look up something up online, I can't use the maps. You start to realize how much you depend on it. So I think it's always worthwhile to do a check about your dependence on things, because you may not have had the opportunity to do so in other situations. So, as you go to the ayahuasca retreat, it depends on where you go. There will be different types of environments. So, you can go really deep in the jungle, like my cousin's experience. She was in a hut. There was no running water, there was no toilet, there was not a hot shower, and she had a monkey that hung out in the hut with her. I did it at an eco resort. So I had a toilet that worked. There was a shower, it wasn't hot, but that's okay. Electricity running only at certain times, but there still was electricity. And there are some places you can go that you can have all the comforts that you like. I know in Costa Rica, there's certain resorts there where it's air conditioned electricity. You don't have to go without those things. And whether or not you do is totally up to you. This is also why I provided the example of a woman I knew from the retreat who didn't adhere to the dieta at all. She didn't do anything different, and she still had a life-changing experience. So I think, again, in my experience, it's good to see how you respond when there aren't comforts. However, I don't think there's anything inherently wrong with comforts either. Like, it was very nice to have a flushing toilet and to be able to use a sink and brush my teeth, but I'm not much of a camping person. That's my style. And if you're really close to nature, it might be something exciting for you to have that experience. And being in nature was a really important part of my experience. I really appreciated being close to the ocean, and I could hear the waves from the Maloka, the temple where you have, or the kind of hut where you have the ceremony. So you can choose a variety of different environments to have your experience in. As far as the experience itself, most retreats tend to be a bit longer. There are shorter ones. The ayahuasca retreat I went to was in Colombia, a retreat that was 6 days. It was a combination yoga retreat and ayahuasca retreat. I have a background in yoga, so this felt a little bit more familiar to me. It was a nice way to kind of bridge something that was familiar with unfamiliar. And we had two ayahuasca ceremonies. Some of the more traditional ones are something like 14 days, where you'll have seven ayahuasca ceremonies and then so many ceremonies with San Pedro. San Pedro is a beautiful complement to ayahuasca. I didn't experience it at the retreat, but San Pedro is a little bit gentler. Depending on where you're at, two ceremonies could be plenty. It was plenty for me. I didn't need more. And even if you go to a retreat that has seven ceremonies, you can choose to sit out. You don't have to join in every ceremony. So if you feel overwhelmed and that feels like too much, no, it's always your choice about what you participate in. Most ceremonies begin at sunset and they last through sunrise the next day. The ceremonies traditionally take place in something called a maloka, which is just a designated hut or a temple or a place to have the ceremony. Depending on where you go, you may have 12 people with you, you may have 15. I think some of the larger ceremonies, when I was doing research, had as much as 20 people, but I don't recall seeing much more than that. Typically, the shamans and the retreat organizers would like to keep it relatively small. You can't really do too much one-on-one support if your group is too big. And afterwards, when the ceremony is complete, usually everyone gathers and they share their experience in circle. You can talk about what happened, any insights or messages that you received. It's completely non-judgmental, beautiful space just to share and to support each other through whatever it is that you went through. There is something to be said about healing in a group. I think when we share in community, something really beautiful happens. There's a deeper healing and integration that comes from relating to the people around you, going through something similar to you, something deep, even if it's an entirely different experience. And it can be really vulnerable to have this kind of experience around other people, right? You're in one room. Typically, everyone has a mat that they can lay down on. They have a bucket to purge, to vomit into. And hopefully, they've got a toilet paper or tissues for crying or blowing your nose. And then the shaman will be somewhere in the center or at the front of the room playing music called the Icaros to help you, support you in your journey. And there's usually shamanic assistance too. And everyone at the ceremony is sitting with ayahuasca. Everyone partakes of the medication. At the retreat I was at, there was one exception, and I think this is the case for any retreat that has medical support. The doctor did not partake, but the doctor was not directly in the same area. The doctor was very close by, about a 2-minute walk away. And of course, it makes sense that your medical staff is not going to be under the influence, but why everyone else, why the shamans, why the shaman assistants or the retreat leaders? Because when they're not there to have their own experience, they're there to support you. But when they have ayahuasca, they're better able to understand what's happening with you. The medicine helps to direct them to what you need. Like it sounds like, how would that be possible? Like, if they're tripping, how are they going to help you? But like I said, the medicine meets you where you're at. It's an intelligent life force, this plant spirit. It's not simply a drug that you take. It can sense what your intention is and what you're there for. In my experience, a time where I needed help and I was so angry and I was thinking, this is nonsense. Like they said that the medicine would tell them when someone needs help, and like I'm losing my mind. I was having a really difficult experience, and there was no one to come help me. But a little bit later on, maybe for me it felt like hours, but it was probably 15 minutes later, one of the retreat leaders came and she said she knew. Like I knew it was you were having a hard time and it's come here, and she brought me just to a different area. And that might be what support looks like because no one can do the healing for you. No one can get you through the other side of your challenge. And she knew the support I needed was to go sit somewhere else. She said, you go sit here in this Temazcal, like a little rock area that you can get inside, like a rock igloo. That's the word I was looking for. Yeah, it's like a little rock igloo, and it was cooler in there and helped kind of contain what I was going through. But maybe the shamans may come and blow smoke rings to help support you. They can use energy healing. They might wave the fan. It's made of leaves. Looks like palm frond. It's not the type of thing like where people are gonna like talk to help you work it out. It's all very energetic and spiritual, but ayahuasca meets you wherever you're at. Every person is going to have a different experience. It's exactly what you need, whatever it is, whatever happens. Whether you have a beautiful experience and you're just filled with bliss and ecstasy and connection and oneness to the universe, or if you're having a really difficult experience like I had, where I felt so angry and literally like I was going crazy. I thought I was losing my mind. And that was beautiful and needed too. It just is not glamorous. I'll be upfront. The ayahuasca experience is not easy. It's not fun. It's not like doing recreational psychedelics. It's inherently spiritually healing. And for me, it was not what I expected. I thought I was going to be like traveling to another world, another planet, having visions, and it wasn't. I have experience using psychedelics, so I thought it would be like that, and it wasn't. I didn't have any hallucinations or visuals. I felt in many aspects very sober. I wasn't, but it felt like that. Like I was able to walk around. My second ceremony was in the daytime. That's a little bit of a rare thing. The traditional is from sunset to sunrise, but when it was light out and I could see everything, the world didn't appear any different to me then than it does now. It was more of a mental and emotional and energetic thing going on for me. And also, everyone's experience with it is completely variable. Even though there was other people in the retreat who had experiences. Like one man, he saw his life. Oh, at this point in time, if I had made this decision and gone this way, and at this decision over here, and it had gone this way and this way, like a decision tree of all his choices, but he could see from a bird's eye view where all of those choices took him and how his life played out, and just all these different ways that things could have turned out for him. And his learning from that experience was it's all beautiful. There's no wrong choice. Even the choices that led to some situations that were difficult in nature and were unpleasant to go through had meaning and purpose to them. And there were a woman who had an experience where she relived being a tree and she felt how people have been treating the planet and the earth and not connecting to the earth as a consciousness, and she was very angry about it. And another woman who had extreme anxiety confronted death. Death came to her as a being, and she spoke with death. And afterwards, she said her anxiety was significantly decreased, almost nothing. And I followed up with her a year later, and she still had no anxiety and no fear of death. It completely changed for her. So, whatever happens is right for you. My experience is a lot about shifting my identity and opening to greater consciousness, having a greater awareness of how reality works, how the universe works. In the nighttime ceremony, I just had what you could refer to as downloads, dozens and dozens and dozens of downloads. It was just like a carousel of insights coming through. And these insights, they weren't fleeting, they felt really deep. It was like sudden knowings of this is true. It's not just an idea, it's a truth. And when I was purging, I really felt that I was releasing aspects of my ego. I remember that I was feeling like the world was pushing down on me. It felt like everything was kind of melting and it was pushing me and pulling me with it. And I knew I just had to surrender to that. So I said, okay, take everything, take my name, take my gender, take my nationality, take my hair color, whatever it is, take it all. And then when I threw up, I felt that. That's what I was letting go, was my attachment to these things that I thought were me. So in letting that go, I was able to have more space and more awareness of the real me, of myself on a soul level, which is an unlimited being with unlimited potential, not this person who was born at this time and had these experiences and these ideas that seem concrete. And it wasn't easy, it was challenging. Had the human experience of feeling like I didn't belong prior to this ayahuasca retreat. I usually felt out of place around people. It was hard for me to open up, talk about myself, to be vulnerable. And after that time where I said I felt like I was losing my mind and it was really hard for me, I went into the circle where there was some people hanging out, and a woman was really empathetic. She saw I'd been crying and that I was looking really sad, and she said, "You need a hug." And I ran to her and I hugged her and I fell in her lap and I was just sobbing, and she was stroking my hair and comforting me. And I can tell you, before the retreat, I would have never felt comfortable being in an intimate situation like that with someone I didn't know. Definitely not. But it completely changed me, that experience. Afterwards, that feeling of like I don't belong or the discomfort around people. I'm not saying that I don't have moments of shyness or times where I'm thinking really hard what to say. I feel kind of blank, but those are secondary. Those are like different pieces that exist of me. They're not pieces of me that are like there's something wrong with you. It's more like I'm tired, or maybe just, oh, I'm intimidated by this particular person or this particular situation. I have not had it since. I feel much more able to speak authentically to my experience, to offer opinions, even to have confidence in myself, as well as the ability to be vulnerable and to share what's going through my mind, what I'm feeling, to show and express. If I'm crying, it's okay. And if someone wants to give me a hug, oh my gosh, yeah, I forgot even before the retreat, I was uncomfortable with physical touch, especially with people I didn't know. If someone just put their arm around me, I'd kind of like recoil. And afterwards, I became a hugger. I was the one saying, yeah, come give me a hug. So those are some really big things that transformed in my life, as well as the biggest, which is just the complete opening into consciousness and expansion and recognizing that this universe is not what I thought it was. This life is not what I thought it was. It's much bigger than this, and we're all connected, and we are so much more powerful than we even know. At the end of the retreat, I didn't feel very good because, like I said, that experience where I thought I was losing my mind, I was angry, I was sad, I was grieving, it was everything. It was really hard. And it lingered for a little bit of time. But shortly afterwards, I noticed a lightness. It was like I let so much go. I had this peace. I had this certainty that remained with me for months afterwards. It was like whatever challenge came, I knew I was going to be okay. I knew that I could handle it. And I knew that everything was working out for me in my favor, even if it did not seem like it. And I wish that that feeling and that confidence stayed longer, but it was still a shift, right? It's like even if I was here in my ability to surrender and say, everything's good, I trust myself, I trust the universe. Let's say before the ayahuasca retreat, it was like here. And then shortly after the retreat, it was here, and it kind of settled like somewhere around here, you know? So some shifts may be bigger and then they kind of settle in. And that shows you what's left, what's the work that you still have left to do. And it's very helpful. I highly recommend when you're doing research to find which ayahuasca retreat to look for ones that offer post-retreat integration. That's the most important part, regardless if it's ayahuasca or another psychedelic or even a meditation retreat that you're going to. The post integration is how you really begin to embody everything that you've learned and to identify as that new person, to make the shifts permanent. And it's not easy to do. In a retreat, you're in a supportive, isolated container. When you go back home, you've got your kids and you've got your job and you've got your house and your responsibilities and your bills. It's a lot easier to move back into that old identity with all the old patterns than it is to show up differently than you did before. That's where some things kind of settle. Some shifts are easier to make, some programs are harder to break. So the more support that you have to identify and connect with people and in community is really helpful, especially because the experiences that you have may be hard to talk about with your regular support circle. I thought for sure when I got back home, I was like, my husband's gonna think I'm crazy. It's like, okay, you're different. Now I gotta adapt to you. And it was good. He ended up having his own spiritual awakening and bringing his own ways of expanding. But it's good to have community that understands completely so that when you're sharing about your experience, you don't feel shut down because it can be difficult when you're vulnerable and you're trying to put into words something that's very difficult to put into words. It can be hard to talk about. And the more out there it is, the less receptive someone might be, the more it's going to make you feel uncomfortable even sharing. If you don't have any kind of integration set up, I recommend getting contact information of the people at the retreat or finding online forums where you can post, maybe have meetups and talk about what transpired for you, what's different, and why go back? Completely again, up to the individual. So it's been more than 3 years since my first retreat. And the reason I'm going to a second one is because I have a deep curiosity. It's a lighter calling than the first one. This opportunity presented itself to me. I didn't go searching for it. And I wanted to know, now that I know so much more than I did then, now that I'm an advanced meditator and I know how to sit and meditate, I didn't know at all then. Now that I've become developed in my psychic gifts and I've done this professionally, I've connected with my spirit guides and my higher self. How is that going to look different? And I really don't know if there's many other options to act as such a huge catalyst and expansion. I think meditation retreats for certain, yoga, there's so many practices to expand in consciousness. But if you want something that's going to really knock you up a few levels. Yeah, like a silent meditation retreat or psychedelics. Those are tools that can really help you alter your perception. It can rewire your neural pathways. They can help you shift in a grand scale your worldview in a way that's comfortable, hopefully, right? You have to be a little bit cautious because the spiritual crisis or the ego death that can sometimes come around from psychedelics is when you have the opportunity for a worldview, but your system can't support it. You're not able to hold it in place, and that can create a break in the psyche. It is important to know where you're at and what you can handle, and to be gentle with yourself. Don't push yourself to get to that next level of expansion. You got to be careful about where you're at with the ego in it and your reasons and your intentions for doing so. Please comment. Let me know if you have any questions about ayahuasca. I'm happy to answer. If you have had experiences with ayahuasca and you'd like to share, I'd love to hear them. Or if there's other topics you'd like to hear about, I'm always happy to take feedback and to hear what other topics might be useful. So bring in the topics. I want to hear them. Bye for now.